Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's having a great week. Really excited to be back here on LinkedIn Live and on Instagram Live talking about messaging. It's been a few months since I've hopped on here and I'm excited to share some more knowledge with you. So today I'm going to be talking about, are you saying the right things to your customers? Now, the reason I want to do this is I'm finding that most of my clients that I'm working with have a big issue when it comes to their messaging. And so today I'm going to be diving into that and giving you five strategies that are my top strategies to ensure that your messaging is connecting with your target audience. So before we get in that, just a quick little intro. I'm Scott Burgess. I'm the founder and CEO of the Burgess Agency, and I have over 12, almost 13 years of marketing and branding experience across so many different industries. And my marketing and brand strategies have generated millions of dollars for the clients I've worked for. So now that we got that quick little intro into who I am, what is messaging? So messaging is something that a lot of people get really confused on, especially new business owners or new entrepreneurs. It's something they kind of overlook and think they can, fugazi along the way and just try to get it done as they go along. But that's not the case. I've even had someone, when asked how their messaging was, tell me, oh, I text a lot of people and I message a lot of people on LinkedIn, but that's not what messaging is. Messaging is what you are saying to your customers, to your target audience, in order to get them to connect with your brand, to connect with your products and services, and ultimately turn into paying clients. And to me, it is the most important part of branding and marketing. Why? Because it's what everything else is built upon. When I go through and for my clients and I build out brands for them, or I build out strategic marketing plans, the very first thing I dive into is the messaging, because what you say and how you say it to your customers is very important. There are so many times that you are saying the wrong things, or your industry changes, or there's changes in the economy, and what you're saying now isn't going to work later on. I know for me, there's stuff that I was saying a couple months ago for my agency and for my Brand Accelerator Academy for my students that was working then that doesn't work now. And why? Because things change, the market changes. So it's important to always be evolving your messaging. So there's a lot of issues I see when it comes to messaging. And the biggest one is that you aren't saying the right things to your customers. You are very confusing. You overcomplicate it, you over-explain, and in your mind, it's working great, but in your target audience's mind, it's just not working. And I see this issue with almost every single client I work with. Messaging is just difficult. And the reason it's difficult as a business owner or a new entrepreneur is it's too close to your heart. And I'm going to make a confession right now. I actually really struggle with my own messaging for my agency, for my Brand Accelerator Academy. I'm so happy that I have a team of colleagues and people who help me through this to help me with my own messaging, because it's too close to my heart. What I'm saying in my head doesn't always relate to what my customers need to hear. And it's funny that I say that. And I've heard this from a lot of branders and marketers before, that they also struggle with their own messaging. And the reason behind this is it's just too close to your heart. You're too deep in the weeds. You need someone with a third party eye to come in and kind of guide you, because they're going to see those issues in your messaging. So that's a quick little intro as to why messaging is important. And for me, when I build brands or I build up marketing plans, we always start with messaging, because it's the basis upon which everything else is going to be built. Once I get the messaging figured out, I can easily create those logos that are based upon the messaging. I can create a design style and an aesthetic that's going to work with the messaging, because the two actually go hand in hand. So, well, now the point that everyone's always been waiting for, what are my top 5 strategies for ensuring that your target audience is going to connect with your messaging? So the very first thing you need to start with is just asking questions. And I ask a lot of questions. So the very first part of any session with my clients, whether they're part of my Brand Accelerator Academy or they're a client coming in that I'm actually done for them services where I'm actually building their brand and marketing for them, is a deep dive session. I'm asking 60 to 100 questions, customized. Now, these are custom questions for their business. And the reason I get so nitty gritty and the reason I ask so many questions is the more information you can have to create it, the better off you're going to be. And sometimes these questions are a little personal. I get really deep in there. I'm asking questions such as, describe, what are 5 words that describe your organization? What are 5 bad things with your organization? What is the personality of your organization? Describe me your ideal clients. What is your vision for the future? I'm asking what problems you have. I'm asking so many questions because the more I have, the better I can create the messaging. So the first strategy is to always dig deep and dive deep into your questions. And don't be afraid to ask other people. As you're building out your messaging, don't be afraid to ask other people to ask you questions. Like, what would you want to know about my business in order for me to sell you? Even if they're not an ideal client, even if they're just a friend of yours, it's always great to have someone, a colleague, a coach, a mentor, or maybe just your friend or your partner, just help you through that. So once you dig deep and ask yourself a ton of questions, the next thing you want to do is really create and tell your story. People always are going to connect with people before they connect with any sort of brand, before they connect with any sort of marketing material or anything you're putting out on social media. It's always going to be you who they're connecting with. It's not the actual brand yet. They need to understand who you are and what you're all about and why you created this business. Tell your personal story. You know, a quick little segue about me. The reason I have my own agency is that throughout my entire marketing career, we all know that marketing is one of the first things to be cut. It's one of the first things to be cut when there's an economic downturn, when there's any sort of business problems. That always is the first to go. So I've been laid off 2 or 3 times already in my career. So in my mind, I don't want to be in someone else's cog. I wanted to go out and create my own destiny. So I created my own agency. And there's a whole other backstory to all this about how I brought in the whole teaching aspect of it and why I do what I do. But the general knowledge of it is that, or general basis of it is that I wanted to do something for myself. And that's a big leap to take. And I think that's a lot of entrepreneurs' story, but you need to make sure you're telling that part of your story and helping people connect with it. Because I'm sure there's another entrepreneur out there, or maybe a potential client who has the exact same story where they've been burned so many times. They wanted to create their own destiny. So they feel that connection with you. And once you've got your personal story told, you really need to dig deep into the why. So strategy number 3 is to dig deep into your why. Why did you create your program? And I can't say that I created because I was tired of getting fucked over by people. I can't say that. That's not the why. The why is the true meaning behind it. So my why is that I wanted to bring back my whole teaching aspect. I wanted to help people with their branding and marketing. I wanted to, use my creative talent, and I wanted to create something for myself. And there's probably a little bit more why to that, but let's just go for that for right now. That's my why, is I want to create something for myself and I want to help people and I want to build something with that. And in that community, building that community of entrepreneurs who are all wanting to have their own business and all wanting to build their own brands. That's what I wanted to create. So dig deep into your personal story, because the more you can tell stories, the more you are great at connecting with people through your stories, the more people can relate to your stories, the better off your branding and messaging is going to be. Remember, messaging is going to build everything else for your entire business, from your sales, what you say in your sales, to what you say in your marketing, to what you say online on social media, to your tone, to your brand voice. There's so much that goes into messaging. And it's important to be as authentic as possible, because if you're not being authentic, 1, you're screwing over yourself, but 2, your customers can see right through it. People can cut through bullshit very easy online. So the more you are yourself, the more you show your personality through your messaging, the better off you're going to be. Now, the next one is where we actually start, the next strategy is where we're going to start diving into more about the actual business. So you want to talk about the benefits. What are the benefits of working with you? What are the benefits of your products or services? People want to know what's in it for them. They don't care about all the bells and whistles. They don't care about any of that. And if you look at some of the best companies who have the best brands and the best marketing, which in my opinion is Apple, they don't really focus on their products too much in their marketing or in their messaging. Yes, they talk about the technical specs at some point. They talk about the best camera ever. They talk about the most advanced thing here. Yes, they do have some of that marketing jargon that I don't really like to see used, but they use it. But they really focus on the lifestyle around the brand. They focus on creating that high-end feeling. They're focusing on what you're going to feel, the emotions you're going to feel. They're showing people actually using their products. These are all things you need to think about in your messaging. What are the benefits of a customer coming to you to help you or to buy your services? And for me, I take away a lot of that stress. If an entrepreneur comes to me and they're launching a business and they're interested in joining my Brand Accelerator Academy, the 2 biggest benefits I have for them is I'm taking away all that stress and that unknownness and that spinning that wheels feeling when they don't know what to do with creating their branding or creating their messaging, or don't even know how to create a strategic marketing plan or how to even create copy for a website. That's all things they're stressing out about. And they should be really focused on getting sales. But to get sales, you have to have your brand and your messaging solidified. So that's one thing I'm helping take away. I'm taking away that stress. The other benefit is I'm saving them money. because branding and marketing can be very expensive. And a lot of entrepreneurs who are just starting out don't really have the necessary funds or access to funds to pay for those services. So I'm saving them a lot of money, getting them that foundation to actually go out and launch their brand. So those are some quick little benefits that I can tie in there. So you always want to lead with the benefits. And then once you get through the benefits, my fifth strategy is going to be to showcase the results. You need to show what you can do and prove you can do it. If you talk a big game, you got to prove it. So talk about the results your clients, your customers are seeing with their products or services. Get those testimonials, get people to get on camera and talk about you. Use all that in your messaging. And also talk about the results. So, in my messaging, I talk about how I've had companies I've worked with see 350% increases in revenue or made multi-million dollars from one campaign. So you want to show that you know your shit and that you can actually help people. And if you can combine all that with all the other messaging strategies, so from asking questions, telling your personal story, digging deep into your why, providing the benefits, and showcasing results, you're going to have a really well thought out messaging strategy. And it's going to work. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time to develop your messaging, and it's not always going to work. It's all about testing it out and then changing it as you go. I've changed my messaging so many times since I launched my agency, so many times. And the reason be it is you just are always constantly evolving. Your brand, once you get to build, is always going to evolve. Yes, the general basics of it are going to be the same, but what you actually say might evolve. Maybe you add in different services. Maybe you see something that works for one client that you really want to showcase a lot. So these are things that can really help you out in developing your messaging. Now, I know that I'm going really surface level here with these 5 strategies. And I forgot to mention earlier that at the end of this webinar, I'm going to be giving you an opportunity to dive deeper into your messaging. And that is because coming up on Wednesday, August the 31st, I'm going to actually be hosting a webinar. And it's going to be how to craft brand messaging for the highest ROI. And I'm going to be taking some of the same strategies and some of the same tactics that I teach to my clients and my customers in my Brand Accelerator Academy and bringing it to you in this hour-long webinar where we're really going to dive deep into messaging and how to build it out. I'm going to be, giving you some questions you can ask yourself as to help you build it out. I'm going to be giving you all the tactics about how to dig into your personal story. So I'm really going to help you figure out and dive deeper into this of how to craft the best messaging that's going to give you the highest ROI. And the link is at webinar. And I know if you're on Instagram right now, you probably can't see my screen. I'm actually sharing a screen to LinkedIn right now, but it's on Wednesday. It's the 31st. And I see I made a little mistake in my slide. I put the 21st, but it's actually the 31st. My mistake there. I should have probably proofed that before I launched this, but it is the 31st at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're interested in joining this webinar, just go to webinar.theburgessagency.com. And the best benefit of this, the first 5 people who join my webinar, I'm going to gift them a free 30-minute strategy session. So a free 30-minute session where you get to pick my brain about any sort of branding, marketing questions you can ask it. And that's actually a $250 value. Actually, my clients who pay for these pay $250 for about 30 minutes for those one-off sessions. So it's a high value. So the first 5 people to sign up for that webinar will be getting a free strategy session with me. My gift to you for joining the webinar, it's gonna be my very first one. I'm really excited about it. So if you're interested in joining that webinar, the link is at webinar.theburgessagency.com. I'll be putting it into the comments on both Instagram and LinkedIn. So that's really it. That is how you can create messaging using 5 strategies to make sure that you're attracting your target audience. And that's it. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone on the webinar coming up on the 31st and hope everyone has a great rest of the day.